I think since May that we filmed together.
End of May.
End of May, so a good almost 4 months in total. And yeah, and I missed being on the couch here on the set in the wonderful, lavish podcast room that we have. And we are just happy that you're here with us. Hello, guys.
Hi.
Hey.
So yeah, since it's been a minute, you know, what's been up? What's everybody been up to? How's life?
I always say life be lifing. So yeah, I've just been chilling. Like we were, talking a little bit before. I've just been trying to stay low key and just keep my nose down and just get some things done. I have some new academic endeavors that I'm pursuing, but
nice.
I know I don't know why I do it to myself. Like I feel like I just get bored, but I enjoy learning. Like I feel like I'm like a lifelong learner, so I just wish it was free.
Right. Oh
yeah.
But it's not free, so
that's really cool. Can I ask what you're going to be doing or what you're thinking about doing?
Yeah, we can ask after.
It's funny because Rome just got into college, right, for barber, to be a barber, and I was just looking into enrolling just to get an associate's degree in theology.
Yeah.
Because I want to write a book. I eventually want to write a book. I have an idea for a book that I think would be really good, but that's really crazy because like.
You can write a book without a degree.
I know, but I feel like it would give more weight to it.
Okay.
Because the topic of the book, we'll talk about it after.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just feel like it would give more weight to it so people want to buy it and stuff. But no, it's just interesting because I'm a firm believer in like, so your circle, right, is like your conscious circle. It's not necessarily just people you see on a daily basis, but you can get on the same kind of like thought patterns as people. Mm-hmm. And so just the fact that you are entertaining that idea too. When Roman's done it, I'm thinking about doing it. It's kind of funny to me. It's just kind of coincidence, I guess.
Yeah, I think like we're all trying to like just pursue something more, and the way the economy is set up, we always have to get more money. And that's like, and yeah, that's another reason too. I'm like, this is like another way I can like make money on the side also, in addition to like working. So like if I do this, then like maybe I can go out on these endeavors because like it's expensive to live, but yeah, you're right. Just like having like-minded people around you helps you to be able to pursue those things, and sometimes it's hard when you don't have that. So yeah, that is interesting that we're all kind of on our own paths, and they're very like different, like right?
Yeah.
Like I didn't know that you wanted to that you were interested in barbering. Like that wasn't something that I knew about you.
I guess not. Did I not? Or I guess not. I cut Rudy's hair a lot, so...
It's been a minute, though.
Don't
I did know that you did cut his hair. I just thought like you were just like being a nice brother, but you didn't want to like pursue it as like something to do. But yeah, like why not get paid for those things? Like
Yeah, true. Because I've cut my nephew, I cut my dad, cut some cousins, and they've been pretty okay. There was only one time I actually cut somebody, my nephew, on his forehead, accidentally. But other than that, we've been good.
He forgave you.
Yeah.
But like, do you have any aspirations to like maybe like open a shop down the line one day?
Honestly, I think because my cousin Joe, he owns a shop. I'm gonna go work with him. I'm so privileged that he's gonna let me work with him. But I think eventually I would not want to own a shop really because I've managed a lot, and when you don't have the right team or the right people, it could get hectic and be a real headache.
Yeah.
But I'd want to own like a private suite and have like a few clients a day, and then give them quality time and like listen to their problems or like make them relax or like do something that decompresses them.
Yeah.
And like, get a higher value and a higher paying service. So,
yeah. It's kind of like The Shop. Did you guys ever watch The Shop? Like with LeBron?
Yeah.
LeBron's The Shop. Like that's where, I don't think they're like, they were cutting hair actually in there, but it's also like a place where people like, you can go and have like a social conversation.
Yeah.
And I know like a lot of men go to the barbershop to have those conversations because I don't know if men have like spaces like that where they can just like get together and
unless they're all drinking.
Yeah, unless you're at a bar and then you only get to a conversation for a little bit and then the shots start coming and then it's all like, I love you.
I love you, man. No, I love that idea, and I love, I think we have a lot of successful barbers in Ogden, and I think, and I love to see what they do. Like, people were like, hey, do you know, like, where I can get my hair cut? Like, when I run into people, I'm like, there's actually lots of options, and so I try not to, like, be biased to anyone. I was like, there's all these like down here, and they all do a really amazing job. But like I think the service is what people look for and like sets it apart. But also along that line is like people don't understand. I think we're in this era of like entrepreneurship and ownership, which is fabulous, and I love it. But I don't think a lot of people understand what it takes to open a business. Like what it takes to run a business. Like you said, personnel, a business plan, like how are you going to sustain your business? What services are you going to offer? Like where are you going to like get capital or, you know, money? Like I don't think people understand it. Like not everybody is like business minded, which is okay. And so sometimes I think now like in this society, like we get too like carried away with like everybody needs to open their own business. Like, I like what you said about like, like I'm going to go work with Joe and then, you know, do my own thing over here, but like it's not mine. You know what I mean? Like I can create like a unique experience without having to like own it. And I think we need to get more comfortable with like being okay with that. And the same with like having a 9-to-5. Like it's kind of like beneath people now to have like a 9-to-5 job. There's like, oh my god, like he's so hurt. Like what happens like if all the 9-to-5ers like go the fuck away? Like you know what I mean? So like like in social services, like the things that I do, like you have to have real people. Like AI is never gonna come in and wipe us out completely.
Well,
if you're Amazon, let's see what ChatGPT.
You know, I asked ChatGPT one time if AI would make a good president, and it gave me a fucking really good reason why. It was just like it was a long one, but it was like I don't have any bias, I don't have any outside influence, I'm completely independent of any emotional this and that, and I'm like fucking ChatGPT.
That's true.
Oh my gosh, these GOP debates have been wild too. And for some reason, like I kind of just want to see Trump up there, but like he doesn't really need to. But
but he doesn't need to. He's gonna win. I told my son, like, he's gonna win. That's
the
just
power
my
of the tongue, like chill.
I really just think he's gonna win because Biden's really on like a downslide cognitively and stuff. They don't want to put anybody else in to just get him out of there. Like put Kamala in, please. But I think that's why I think Trump's gonna win. But go ahead, proceed.
Kamala.
Is it Kamala? Kamala Harris. Okay.
You're like Joe Biden. Joe Biden and his LLJ.
Camel Harris. Camel.
But like I just hate. Anyway, the idea that 9-to-5s aren't viable anymore. Like yes, like we deserve more compensation and pay, but 9-to-5 jobs are still very much needed. But like if you can find something on the side like where you can also make money and do something that you love to kind of decompress from like that hectic whatever you're doing, then I think that's awesome. I think that's like where most people are going. Have you guys seen those Uber like ads for like how they just like make Uber sound like it's like
the best place,
like you're a CEO, like you're just like.
You haven't seen the
You haven't heard these? Oh my gosh, these ads are like crazy. Like, be your own boss. Like, you're the CEO of your own company. Like,
until driverless Uber.
Yeah.
No, ChatGPT.
Yeah, until Tesla like takes over. But yeah, I'm just like that kind of bugs me too. Like how they're just like making like Uber driving like sound so luxurious. I'm like, can you sustain a whole like lifestyle like driving Uber like, and they make it seem like that's like the person's primary gig. You know,
in Vegas, because
I was
on the bachelor party, just to go from like the airport to a certain place, like almost like $60.
Yeah, big cities definitely you'd probably be a Uber entrepreneur, but here in Ogden or generally Utah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just like that's like false advertising. Like, don't make these people and these single moms like act like you can just like drive for Uber and make a living like. A living that you want, like to take care of like your kids.
Some of these people don't need to be driving people. Like,
they
can really drive themselves. They're teen Uber.
They're teen Uber, like that are specifically like Uber drivers that drive teens to where they need to go.
Sounds crazy.
Because I don't know that before like I don't think that teenagers could like get their own Uber. Like like you have to be like a certain age.
Yeah, I wouldn't want my like teenage daughter or son even to be in an Uber by themselves with some random person.
Yeah. So, anyway, I don't know where that went, but that's what's been going on.
So what you're saying is we all need to be Uber drivers right now.
No, absolutely not. I hate driving. Like, I probably shouldn't say that, but I was gonna say my registration is like, yeah. So like, but it's because like I primarily like, work from home, so I'm not like driving all over. But anyway,
it can wait.
It can
wait. It can wait.
So after this, like I gotta get home safely and swiftly. Anyway. Yeah.
Sorry for making you come out.
I need to get an Uber to come here. Sounds very vulnerable.
That's do you guys, so with commutes and stuff too, because like I think about random shit a lot. But I was reading this book called the Positivity Bus, right? And the guy and the character in the book, it's a self-help book, but it has fiction in it, which I don't really usually read, but it's pretty good. So the guy has a commute of like 2 hours to work. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like 2 hours? Maybe he lives in upstate New York and he works downtown or something, right? The book doesn't say.
Yeah.
But his car breaks down, he gets all mad about it. Yeah. His car breaks down, he gets like upset about it, a bunch of shit happens to him. But he ends up getting on this bus, and the bus happens to be the positivity bus, right?
Okay.
So it takes him longer to get to work, and at first, in the beginning of the story, he's mad about that. He's beating himself up about like, man, my car, my kids, my wife, my mortgage, all this shit like that. But the more he rides this bus, even though the commute's much longer and he has to leave earlier, it ends up being much better for him because he learns to be a positive person because everybody on the bus is positive. Yeah. And then his whole life changes. So I like that part of the book, right? But it got me thinking about like, damn, I only have like a 5-minute commute to work. I don't have to commute. Like I used to have jobs back when I was in my 20s, like where I would work in Salt Lake and maybe drive 40 minutes or whatever. But I feel like distance is a luxury here where we live because everything's not so far away. But if you live in like California, New York, or areas like that, like people have fucking long ass commutes. Yeah. But a lot of Utahns I know don't like driving. Yeah. And I'm like, everything's so close. Yeah. So why do you not like driving? Like everything is just like bing, boom, boom right there. You know what I mean?
We were just talking about that, how here in Utah, like you almost need a car.
Yeah.
Like if you like lose your car or if like something happens, like you almost have to like figure that out like super quick because like our public transportation sucks.
Yeah.
And like you can't not like have a car. Right. I guess like if you're really good at the bus system, but even like the bus system, like that's like a service gap, like right. So if you get on this bus and like you work, I don't know, like you still have to like walk like a good ways like before you get to your job. Like it's not like our bus systems are like designed to like drop you off in front of something, like you know, or like 5 or 10 minutes away. So like you almost like need a car here, and like economically like that kind of sucks here. We're like okay, like how can people afford to live in like these big cities, but they also don't have to like pay insurance. Like some don't pay for cars, and then you don't have to pay for gas and car repairs and things like that. So like that's some extra money in their pocket to make that easier. But I like what you said about like his commute, making like he's around all these positive people, and now he's thinking more positively. Like that just makes me think of like what we were talking about before we started filming about just like who you're around. We kind of talked about it like you know at the beginning, but like who you're around and having like-minded people around you and having people that are going to uplift you and like see you to like where you need to go, and like having people that you also want to like help along the way too. So like I was talking about like my social circle looks a lot different than it did a year ago, like right, and that's been a little bit difficult for me because like I had a lot of friends and a lot of people that were around me that I thought were going to be around for a long time, and I've had to kind of over the last year reimagine like what my life looks like without these key people in my life, and like figuring out like, you know, were all these people like the best people for me to like surround myself around. Not saying that they were bad people, but you know, did they align with like where I'm wanting to go? Like, and I've said like it's lonely. Like when you like lose friends and start realizing that certain relationships are no longer serving you. Like, that's really hard to actually do and, like, cut people off in a real way. Some people are like, man, that bitch cut off. Like, I ain't fuck with her no more. But, yeah, like, you know, you're still kind of, like, talking to them on the back end, or, like, you still have some type of connection. But I just feel like what I've done is, like, yeah, like, you know, like, I have to, like, cut this off, like, at the head, and, like, that gets really lonely. But it also is giving me space, like, is figure out, like, what my part in that was, like, how I can be different in friendships in the future if I so choose to make them. And I have, like, realized, like, those friendships that I've had were, like, from, like, when I was 14 and 15. We're 35 now.
Right.
Like, well, I'm going to be 35. I don't know about you.
I'm about
so you're 32, right?
33.
33? Okay, so 35 is going to be a little bit of a crisis. But, like, it's been hard to make new friends. And I think it's really hard to actually, like, sit in, like loneliness. Like, you know, like on a Saturday night, you're like, dang, who do I call? Or, like, can I, like, who do I have to, like, hang out with? And you're just like, nobody. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's not anybody that I would want to, like, spend that time with. But I think that's almost better than filling your time and your space with people that, you know, don't align with you. Yeah. So I think the people that you're around, even if it's, like, 2 or 3 people, are very important. I think it's just, like, a given when you get older, your circle just gets smaller.
You don't want to fill your time with unfulfilling people or unfulfilling things. You want to fill it with things that will fill you.
Right. And I think we live in a time right now where, you know, social media is very prevalent, and we want to have the appearance of, you know, having an abundance of things, and that's also people around. But I do think, like, there is more conversation around solitude and being, you know, understanding, like, yourself and not needing those outside, you know, people to validate you as well. And so that's, like, a lot of, like, what I listen to, or, like, you know, if I'm reading something, like, that's kind of what it is, like, just validating, like, I'm not gonna die. Like, it's not like food, shelter, or anything like that. Like, I'm not gonna die, like, without people, although as people, like, we do need other people. So, like, you kind of, like, it's just, like, now you just have to be more strategic about who you know, those people that are around. And I think just being genuine too, like, just genuinely, like, wanting to, like, contribute to someone else's well-being and, like, their life. And it's not always like a what's in it for me kind of situation. Although I do feel like if you can't be used, you're useless. Like, I heard that somewhere, and I'm like, that's so true. Like, I liked that.
Yeah, being useful. But, okay, so this is a question. Do you think, because, like, in a relationship, like, probably everybody's going to hurt you. Like, just because, like, say you have this friend group, not you, but you have a friend group, and, you know, you have these relationships, they're going to use you, you're going to use them maybe, or whatever. They might use you more. Who knows? That's my case. I'm just kidding. Yeah. So I have other friends that I haven't spoke to in a while, or, like, you know, they haven't. We haven't. But just because we haven't had that relationship, that we haven't hurt each other yet. Like, not, and it doesn't have to be like a hard hurt or anything like that. But, like, a relationship is gonna come with, you know, problems or a little bit of damage. So you're gonna get hurt no matter what, in every relationship.
Okay.
Do you think that's true? Because there's not going to be one relationship where you're like, it's unscathed. Like, think about with your mom, your dad, you know, a friend that you just meet, like, a coworker. If you get close enough, like, you know, it's going to be, you know.
Yeah, I think so. There's, like, different levels to it too, right? Like, different levels of hurt or whatever. But I think good friendships are friendships that you kind of have, you know where the line's at. You know what I mean? Like, there's some things you don't cross into. Like, I have good friends. I just don't get into any of their family business or anything. It's just about our friendship. Like, we just talk about things that pertain to us. Like, we have an interest in, like, a show or a book, movies or something like that. We just talk about that. We don't talk about anything else beyond that. Because when you do get to a line or you cross a point, there is a opportunity for hurt involved. right? You know what I mean? Like,
so you're saying your friendships are not too close?
No. There's very few friends that I have that are that close that know the intricacies of my actual life and stuff like that. But a lot more of my friends, it just ends at our friendship. We just have a friendship and that's it, you know. And they don't have anything to do or know about my home life or me their home life either, you know. And then it's like, there's some people that are like, well, I've been told this, you don't ask enough questions. Because like if there's something going on or something like in somebody else's life and I'm like, yeah, man, you know, my friend was telling me about this. I feel really bad because this is going on between him and his lady. Well, did they, you know, is there somebody else or is there something like this and that? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not going to ask that. Well, you don't ask enough questions. And that's not my business. It's
not my business,
I'm not here to get the whole scoop. I'm just here to like
he felt comfortable telling me what he was going to tell me.
Yes, yeah.
And like that's what I stuck with because like that's where our friendship is. Like I value it at that. And if he wants to tell me more, then I'll appreciate that later. Yeah. But I'm not going to be like, well, take a seat. Like, lay down on my couch.
Yeah.
But I think like we're all like it's a lay down in my chair. Pause. Is your chair gonna lay down? Or
It'll recline a little
okay.
because you got shade.
Okay, good.
Right.
But I think it's like a level of vulnerability that you give these people. Like you said, there's different types of relationships. There's families. There's work relationships. There's like your friendships. There's sibling relationships. Like those are like, really tricky sometimes also. But I think it's like you only get hurt to the level of vulnerability that you expose yourself to that person. And I guess like everybody's definition of hurt is different also. Like to me, like a hurt is like I told you something in confidence that we agreed this was only going to stay here. It didn't now stay here. You broke my trust. Like I'm hurt about that. Now if it's like you hurt my feelings because you don't like my ponytail that I'm wearing today, or like you said, like my shoes don't match my bag. They never will because I don't really carry bags. But just like superficial things like that, like those aren't hurtful to me. I was like, okay, well that's your opinion. Like, and your breast stink. Like I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't. Like those are different levels of hurt. But like I take, if you hurt me, like it's something. It's something significant, like to like for me to consider it a hurt. Like it might be like a matter of opinion, but like people's opinions. Like once you get to a certain point, I don't think we care too much about opinions. But once you like enter into like what we want to say is like, you know, distrust or betrayal or vindictiveness, like that, those things are hurtful. So I think it just depends on like the level of vulnerability that you let a person into your life with. Like, right, we kind of talked about this too, like, you know, there's certain things like I don't say to people if I'm not gonna post it on Facebook or Instagram or something, like I won't say it because like it's vulnerable to me. But if I'm going to like give you a piece of something, I have to be ready for that information to possibly be shared, because I think we have like, we give people, or we put too much stake in people to keep our shit, and like that's not theirs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so conversation is necessary, but we also like have to be careful about like what conversation we lend to people, because at that point like you're giving somebody a responsibility that they didn't ask for. So just like in being, you know, starting to understand better like what communication looks like and what it means for different people. Sometimes it's like, I was watching a YouTube video and the girl said that she asked, you know, her friend, like, do you have space for me right now? Like she said like, how are you? And her reply back was like, do you have space for me right now? Because like, I am going through some stuff, but I don't want to park it here. Because like depending on the person, like they're gonna internalize that, like they're gonna like try to like figure out how they can help you, how they can fix it. It's gonna be a lot for them.
Right.
So even just asking that for her is a way to understand like, yeah, like I'm not gonna get into it with you, but just know that like I'm struggling with something, and when you're ready, I can let you know. But sometimes like we ask people, you know, general like, how are you? And it's like, oh my God,
right.
so this happened, that happened. You're like, well,
yeah.
and you don't have anything for them, and they're like, so like, what do you think I should do? You're just like, yo, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And then that person might take their I don't know as like aloofness or like I don't careness or like whatever, but they just weren't ready for that.
Right.
And we just assumed that they could handle, like they had capacity for yo shit.
Right.
Like,
and I think that's
a therapist.
That's like a genuine thing. Like women do have that like I can share this with you, you're my sister type thing, and just like let it out. Guys don't have that at all. But I think guys, even though like to your point, like sometimes you ain't ready to hear all that. Mm-mm. But I think men should do that more with men because we hold so much shit inside sometimes. And it comes out in the worst ways. Mm. Like, it's like, oh, you know, a guy will call you, he might be going through something, like, hey, we want to go hang out, like, you know, it's been a rough week, whatever. Or they don't even say that, they're just like, let's go hang out. Boom, they just start drinking like crazy, or whatever, they want to go, like, take it to the maximum and have a fucking 3-day binge. And you're like, where's this coming from? What's going on, bro?
Who are you?
Yes, what's triggering this? But I mean, we just like, but if they would just talk more and do that kind of stuff, I think it would be, a lot of men would be in a lot better place because men just don't talk. Not a lot of men do.
Do you guys think that's still true today? Because I feel like men talk more now than ever. Like me and my sister were like listening to a podcast and we were just like.
That's a good question.
Like it was a conversation that like Charlamagne was having with Ebony Kate Williams and DJ Envy, right? And it was like, this conversation ain't for y'all. Like, y'all just shut up. And, like, my sister's like, oh, like, I appreciate that they really didn't say anything during that time because, like, these dudes, like, have so much to say about everything now. Yeah. And I'm just like, that is so true. Like, the way, like, podcasting spaces, like, come up and just even, like, how the entertainment industry is, like, even just, like, normal, everyday people stuff. Like, I find that men are kind of getting just as chatty as we are, and that like goes back to your point of like you wanting to like create a safe space and like you having like a space like where men can talk, like like, and I think that's great. And like if we were to go into a barbershop with men, like we would hear a lot of stuff that because like that's a sober place, like that's it's supposed to be a safe space, but like we like. Back in the day, we used to think like men aren't like gossiping. No, I know plenty of men who are chatty patties and like
are
who
these
are
like
gossiping.
are these new men?
But
Gen Z men?
No, the same men.
Okay, I would think maybe guys are more like chatty to other guys, but like I think it might be bad if the different sexes are chatty with each other. Because like say like a woman, you know, like they might tell another woman that you didn't want them to know, but what if that woman told a guy, or what if the guy told a woman, and like now that brings a whole new list of drama things to relationships, like, you know, and stuff like that.
I
like,
think
that's
that
bad.
Is happening. Like that's what I'm saying. Like okay, if you talk about something to your partner, we call it pillow talk, like right? Mm-hmm. Like we all know pillow talk's supposed to stay on the pillow. Like it's supposed to leave the house, the room, like it stays on the pillow. But now that shit is infiltrating and it's walking out. Like and you're just like getting out there. So like you might be cutting up somebody and it's like, yo, like, and you might be talking about a girl or like yo, she's got a fat ass or whatever, but like, well, yo, I heard that you know, she went out and did da-da-da. Like word? Like, you know, like guys have those conversations that they're getting from their women, like, you know what I mean? So I do think that there is like cross-sectioning of gossip that's happening, but like again, the level of vulnerability, like we trust our partners, or like our partners of the opposite sex with that information. And I think women genuinely think like he's a dude, like he's not gonna go back and repeat this, like he doesn't even really care to like listen to it in the first place, like, or he's just like, why are you telling me this? Like mind your business, like, you know. But now I feel like some of these dudes are like, oh word, like okay, like all right baby, let's go to sleep. And then they go out and they're just like, yo, I heard this about so and so, like. And maybe that's just like living here and on. But
that's crazy.
Like I do feel like men are having more conversation. Reminiscent of women. I don't love it. But anyway.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That reminded me of a point I was bringing up to Roman. So, because we got on the, I was introducing him to what you introduced me to, the boy math, right? The memes, the boy math, girl math.
Oh my god, it's so funny.
Hilarious. It's just hilarious. But I was telling Roman, I was like, do you think men like to insert themselves too much into women's business these days? Because like women, like they said on a lot of these TikToks and stuff, it's like, look, women were just minding our business. We were just talking about stuff, like
funny.
Yeah, and then men had to interject, and I see that a lot. Like men will interject themselves into situations, into conversations, and things like that. That why? What are you doing? Like, you don't belong there. That's their space. And a lot of people that I would like, some guys that I would listen to, that have like podcasts and stuff like that, they're doing it now because it's like the trend to do that. Like, give your manly opinion on this woman thing, and it's like, why, bro?
Yeah, we don't need it. Yeah, and I think like society, like I think maybe that's just like where we're shifting to. Like we've told men, or men have been conditioned to like stay out of women's business. Like if you're gossipy, like or chatty, like that's woman stuff. But I also think like that's why like men don't have like or feel safe having these conversations because they think like it's girly. So now I think in some weird way men are taking back their power. And it's like, well, why can't we also have a conversation? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why are we excluded from this? Like, why can't we have an opinion? But I do think like there's a fine line of like, this is like you don't get an opinion about that or about this, like especially like when it comes to conversations like around our bodies or our reproductive organs, those kind of things. But like if you want to like weigh in on like a body count conversation that has been going around, great, but just don't think you can have an opinion about like what we do with our bodies. But I think everything else is free game. Like we want equality. Like I'm very much feminist and like go women. Like it's it's all about us. But we also have to like be able to take what comes on the flip side of that, right? So yeah, I think there's just a fine line. And yeah, the boy math. The women like went in. Like
that shit
women
was so
like,
funny.
I paid for. Or I think the funniest thing is like I paid for it in cash, so it was free. And the one guy was like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, I paid for it in cash, so it was free. It's not coming out of my bank account. Like it came out like I paid for it in cash. Like that money's just gone. It was just free." And he was like, "What are you talking about?" But then these men or these women come in on the boy math, like talk about they ain't taking care of their kids, like they stink, they draws is dirty, just all kinds of stuff. And I was like, see, you didn't want to do that. Like you didn't want to do that. That's why women, like we're like people imitate us, like like whether it's straight men, gay men, like we just have all the cachet. So like just they should have just stayed out of that because now. That just look terrible.
But it's birthed a lot of really funny memes, a lot of really funny captions and stuff like that.
Is not mathing by any means, but
I think my favorite one was boy math is raising 3 pit bulls but can't raise 1 child. I laughed so hard at that. I was like,
I hate that. Like, can I just say that? Like, I feel like everybody like wants to breed dogs now.
Oh yeah, it's like a trend.
It's like super trendy. Like, I think it's weird.
I've been off social media for a while, but keep going.
I'm just saying, like, everybody's, like, breeding bullies, and, like, everybody's a bully breeder, and it's, like, I don't know. We're like, oh, what do you do? Like, I raise dogs. Like, no, you don't. Like,
no, you don't.
You get 2 dogs together, you make puppies, and you sell them for, like, a dumb amount of money, and then call yourself an entrepreneur. Like, that's stupid, too. So, ladies, be aware of that scam also, like, anyway, I'm also like an animal person, so I just like don't come at me talking about you raise dogs. Like, no, you don't. Anyway, that's a huge thing. Like everybody like is a breeder now, or like trying to be a reputable breeder. I'm like that. Those things like don't even like go together. Anyway. Why are you off social media? You're off social media?
Yeah, you're completely off. Well, you just started your barber one.
Well, I started a barber one, but
I don't follow him. Rome Cuts, right?
Yeah. It was first Roman Cuts Hair, but I think it's Roman Cuts Them.
Roman Cuts Them.
But no, it doesn't.
Roman Cuts Them.
Yeah, it cuts them. I want to cut women's hair too, but.
Okay. So are you making like gender neutral?
Yeah.
Like them, theys.
Yeah, something like that.
I love that for you.
Thank you.
On IG.
But no, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't had like the time for it. I don't know. That sounds kind of weird, but
With kids, especially young kids, yeah, 2 young
maybe
kids.
That's why, because I don't have.
Yeah, it's tough to have time for.
I didn't know anything about this, the gender math or anything like that. I don't.
Did you know, like, or not? Did you know? But do you think that you can like still like be successful and productive like without like keeping a pulse on like social media?
No.
Because like, and that's hard, right? Yeah. Because like I'm kind of like I've been in that boat too. I'm just like, oh my god, social media is like kind of hard. It's kind of a job.
Yeah.
Like especially like if you want to be like relevant on there somehow. Like if you want to like spread a message. Like I have a friend who like went from like 600 followers to like 2,500 or 25,000 followers.
Damn. Yeah.
Like she has like a ton of followers, but like she was very consistent with like her posting and like you know her page is very specific in the content that she makes, and that's like another thing I guess that makes it easier. But like even if you're not posting, it's almost like you have to like look and see like what's happening to kind of like keep a pulse on the culture and even just like, you know, the climate politically, you know, just like what's going on, like that's like where we get our news now. So it's almost like, oh my god, like I don't want to be on social media. Like I did that with Facebook. Like I don't think because Facebook is just like people ranting long rants and posts like and putting all their business out there. Like that was like mentally draining for me, Facebook. But like you almost have to kind of be on social media like to an extent to like.
Is it bad that I don't care about any of that?
No, no, it's not bad. But what's giving you the confidence to not care? Because I think there's like very few people that can say that they don't care about.
Because I honestly think that it doesn't affect my life like at all. Like the climate, the culture, the politics and stuff like that. Like I don't know. It just seems like they want to get people riled up or fight against each other. So it's like. I don't really care about a side right now or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like, and then starting the barbering, my only concern is word of mouth. So just the first person I cut, give him a quality service or whatever, and then hopefully he'll tell somebody or come back. So I'm starting steps, I guess.
Yeah.
From ground zero.
Yeah, and now like we live in a climate like where you have to have a social media presence almost like or a website or something to go to like direct someone to like if you're. You know, people ask me, like, who does my hair all the time? And it's hard for me to be like, oh, like, she's over here, there. But, like, people want to see, like, the work before they make a decision.
Right.
And, like, now the competition's so stiff. So, like, now you're, like, taking screenshots and, like, comparing this, like, set of box braids to, like, this set of box braids.
If they know your hair looks so good and if your word is like, no, this is the girl to go to, maybe they might believe.
And I guess I'm just, like, so... unbiased on like so many different levels because like there's a lot of like there's different braiders out here now that offer amazing services. There's so many talented women now. I just started in my phone. I just like copied all their IGs, all of them, and when someone inquires, I copy it and I just send it. I'm like. They're all great. I would recommend you to go to any of them. Like it's up to you. Like that's cool. Nice. Like I said, even like with the barbers, like I have like a small list of like barbers too. Like if a guy asks me, like they all do great work. Like
I wouldn't want anybody to just be like, oh, you should go to him if I'm not like there yet. So like you know. So all these people like I went to myself. I can say like they do good work. There's one particular hair spot that I don't ever give anybody any recommendations to.
0 stars.
0 stars. I will never, cause I don't think they do great work. But other than that, like I'm like, I don't have any loyalty to anybody like specifically. But anyway, back to the point of like social media, like it's kind of just like this fine like, I guess everything's like a fine line of like. Where do you land like on like being active on social media, or are you trying to reach a certain amount of people or a certain audience, or like you said, does that even matter to you? Or like for an average person who's like not trying to pursue something, like you're right, it probably doesn't like affect your everyday life in the least. Like you're living, you're working, you're taking care of your family, and it is like a huge distraction. Like I'm noticing that like social media is like making it to like, or has made it to like where we can't even like consume anything for longer than Like,
oh yeah,
even just like
clips,
being like just like clips. Like, there's so much good information on the internet, but our brains have like got so fucked up like we can't even listen to like a whole 10-minute video. Yeah. And like think of like how short 10 minutes is.
Right. Yeah.
But like after like 2.5 minutes, or like there's a study about it. Like I don't remember how many minutes, but like our brains like don't like can't even like comprehend after that. Like we're just like so like we're rushed into like the next thing. So like when someone like tells me something like, did you know blah blah, I'm like, did you get that out? Like who told you that?
Right.
Like, where did you get that from? And so for me now, like if I hear something like on a TikTok or if I see it online, like I'll go out and like again Google it, like and see like what the other articles are say about it. So like I'm not just like getting that excerpt, because a lot of people like
they just take the excerpt and run with it.
Like we get into a lot of debates and fucked up shit. With family and like a lot of arguments over an excerpt, and you didn't even like read the rest of like what happened. Like like actually this is what was said. So yeah, I think social media is like hard in a lot of ways. So like I also try to like limit my activity on social media, and like I don't have a huge following. Like I'm not trying to like get people to like listen to me or like follow me for anything in particular. So like I don't need to be in that space, but like maybe later on down in my career, like it might be more necessary. But I think I have a more peaceful existence because I haven't fallen victim to that. We're also in a different age group too, where we kind of like we're that hybrid where we grew up without it, and then like we kind of came into it. So like I think we have a more emotional intelligence than like maybe the generation after us who like that's how they
that's everything is on there.
So like we kind of know how to navigate or like talk to people on the phone. I work with youth, and it's like so crazy how like they don't look at you in your face. It's like you're going to stone them if you look at them like in their eyes, and I'm like, hello.
Contact is
and there's like shifting. I'm like, do I have something on my face? Like,
is everything okay?
And so like I try to teach them like like look at somebody in their face, but they don't, because like they're always like this. So
that's true.
Yeah, these kids are different. But anyway. I hate saying that because I feel so old.
Do you feel so to that point? Like I was telling Roman too. I'm like, okay, I was at the Ben Lomond game on Friday because my daughter performed with the little cheerleaders.
Aww.
So it was really fun. But I'm there, and I'm like walking, and I'm like, oh, this is where I used to go to school. This is really cool, and I see some kids.
That is not where we went to school. That is
it's a completely different building and everything. We did not but the grounds are the same. The soil is where
I'm in there often, and I'm like, this is not this shit.
It's way different now.
Yeah, anyway.
Way different. But I see kids, and I'm like, oh, I know their dad, I know their mom, and I'm seeing these kids, and they're like my son's age, like maybe 13. One of them was on the cheerleader squad, and I'm like, oh shit, I know who that young lady's parents are because I went to school with them. But I was off road. I'm like, in a few years, just a few short years, maybe 5 more years, I'm gonna be running into people and looking at them and being like, oh, you look familiar. Who's your parents? And they'll tell me, and I'll be like, oh, your mom is so-and-so. Oh, wow, I haven't heard that name in so long.
Yeah.
Just bring back memories of good times, and then you're like, tell your mama I said hi.
Tell your mama I said hi.
And then I was like, do you know now that any older man that told us that, oh, make sure you tell your mama I said hi. You know why. You know damn well why.
Oh, no.
And that's kind of like, it's funny because people don't think about that, but that's a reality that we've all lived through and we're going to live in, is we're going to see people who we've had pasts with and their kids and be like, oh, damn. Oh, shit.
Oh, my God. I don't think I'll ever have a tell your mama I said hi, but I do work with...
You never know.
Yeah, you're right. There's a couple mamas. I told you about one before. Anyway, but... I do work with, kids or youth that, like, are my friends' kids or, like, whatever. And they're like, like, you can be part of this. Like, we know Sade. Like, we trust her. And now I'm just like, I'm the youth advisor for your 12 and 13 and 15-year-olds. Like, I just, like, look at them and I'm just like, how did I get here? Because, like, I don't really feel like that old. But, like, it's a good feeling to know that, like, we've gotten to a point where... like we can kind of foster our youth and like be examples to them, and that's kind of like where I'm starting to like realize I'm like, oh, like I like working with youth, like more like high school aged kids. Little kids are still like, that's still like I don't want to. It's a little much, but like I think high school is like still a good place to like set a good example for youth and being able to kind of shape them, because like you always hear people are like, my teacher said I ain't gonna be shit, or like I don't feel like my teacher cared about me, or like whatever, and then they have like that one person who was at school or like in this club that they were in that was like super great and encouraging, and I'm like, we can like I can be that for them, and like that's actually gives me a lot of like purpose and joy to like be able to help the youth, especially like of course like our Black and brown kids. That's very important because I still don't feel like there's like a ton of opportunity here for them.
Right.
So even, you know, like we're saying, like in the barber space, like we have a lot of Black and brown barbers that are here, like, and just like showing them that there's like alternative career choices and routes, and it's not just aspiring to be, you know, professional athlete or a whatever, like they're even just like trade schools, like, you know, I have a kid in my youth group, we're like, okay, like, you know, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he's like, I'm going to trade school. And I think he's Puerto Rican. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to trade school. Nice. He's like, that's like, what I've been taught. He's like, I know I can make good money. And like, hats off to like his family to like letting him know like that's like sustainable, like something that you can like find, like you can pursue whatever you want, but at least go to school, get this trade, and like you're always gonna make money. Somebody's always gonna need an electrician. Somebody's always gonna need a freaking I can't even think right now, but plumbers. I have plumbers out to my house all the time, not because the toilets are clogged, but like, not because my toilets are clogged. It's an old house, but like they're always going to have like jobs, and I just want to like instill that in our kids, like not to be workers, but to just gain skills, like, you know,
be someone else needs,
right? Be useful and be knowledgeable, like, and then like maybe they can go off and like start their own company or their own business or something, or invest, or, you know, I see a lot of you know, Hispanic people, like they teach their kids and like how to like family businesses, right? So like one of the guys that did the tile in my house, he's like, yeah, my dad was a tiler, his dad was a tiler, he taught me how to do this, and like he does it on his own now, and people are always going to be remodeling something. And so I feel like the Hispanic community does a really good job at like instilling that in their kids, like passing down like a family trade of some sort. I think, you know, in the Black community, like we can be better about doing that, but I appreciate like the Hispanic community so much because like they do that like with their kids even now. So when I heard that student saying like, yeah, I'm going to trade school, like I was like, they do that, like, you know, so anyway,
that's really cool. And the fact that you have the chance to work with youth like that and kind of direct them in ways, there's like not many better options than Sade out there to do that.
Oh, thanks.
Like I think Sade's kind of always had a good head on her shoulders about that stuff. But that's really cool. I mean, I've always wanted to work with youth and stuff like that too, in some capacity. But I don't know if I'll ever have the chance to. Maybe when I'm older.
You always have a chance to. There's like so many like different avenues that we can take in like helping these kids. Like they need help in a lot of of ways. Like just being able to work with them. Like you realize, like you said, like they have parents, like, right? And, you know, like with different things like, you know, substance misuse or abuse, like things like this, like we don't realize like what some of our kids are going through. Like, you know, like we have kids, you know, our kids are doing well or whatever, like have loving homes, but every kid doesn't go home to that. And so sometimes like their safe place is school or is an after school program or a group of some sort, because they can't go home and be safe. And so we saw that show, The Sound of Freedom. We saw that like a few months ago. And it's just very it wasn't like super jarring because like I kind of work in that realm and I know like what sex trafficking looks like, or just human trafficking in general. I think a lot of people think it's just like sex work. It's not. It comes with a whole, runs the gamut. You know, laborers, kids. It's very sad. Like, you should see it, but it also like should make us all hyper aware of our kids, because like sometimes like you see kids in the store like running around, they don't have parents, and so me and my partner were in Walmart, and there's this little boy. He was just wandering around, and we were getting stuff for my grandma's birthday, and he was like, "Have you seen my mom?" And we're like, "Oh my gosh!" So like it's messed up, right? Because like you're like, on one hand, I don't want to like you know, mess or like be looked at as like a stranger danger for this little boy, but also like we want to make sure that he gets back to his mom. So anyway, we took him. We're just like, okay, like, what's your mom look like? Like, what's her name? Like, what's her phone number? He had her phone. So like, anyway, we went around the store, and like we finally found his mom, and his mom just kind of like looked over and was like, "Oh, where'd you go?" Like, she didn't even know he was gone. So like, imagine if somebody else would have found him, like somebody. Because, like, these traffickers are everywhere. Like, they're in the stores, they're in the parking lots, they're at the schools, they're online, they're on roadblocks. Our kids are, like, huge into roadblocks. And we don't know that there's, like, 50,000 like, child predators on roadblocks every day, just, like, waiting, like, grooming your kids. Sometimes it's 6 months, a year, 2 years. But eventually, they're going to get what they need to come and take your kid. Anyway, so I'm just like, how lucky is she that we found him and it wasn't somebody else who found him? And to me, I'm just like, how do you not know that your whole ass kid is missing? And she's over here like looking at Maybelline makeup in the makeup aisle or something, and I'm just like, and it's hard. Like, you know, parents have a hard job, like, especially when there's a lot of kids, like, to keep track, but you have to. Like, it's almost just like irresponsible to not like know like where your kids are at all times. So I think it's definitely a movie that people should see to really understand like what our kids are up against, and our parents, like, because parents can't be everywhere,
especially single parents.
Especially single parents, they can't be everywhere all the time, but I think we can give our kids tools to keep them as safe as we can. So kids are super vulnerable. They're not safe, unfortunately. They need all of the safeguards and supports that we can possibly provide to them. And so I think there's like a ton of opportunity, like if that's like once you get there and like have the capacity to do that, for you to be involved with youth. Like maybe it's at church or maybe it's like coaching. Coaching is huge. Like we have coaching. Like all these little boys that are playing these sports, and some of them don't have dads, like you know what I mean, or have good male like role models. Like some of their dads are coaches, but like these boys like really look to their coaches as like the male figure to teach them how to do right. And these moms like are also like, dang, like thank you for doing this for my son, because like I can't do it all. So there's tons of like. And I think that's like a gap, right? Like, there's enough people to like, if you want to start a nonprofit or if you like want to start a program, it's like hard to find people who have the time and capacity to like dedicate to these programs. But anyway, I have ideas on like different programs we can have. Like the Marshall White will be open at some point again, but I think like that's like one safeguard. But like we need different, you know, we need more. And like in our schools, like we can't, like they don't teach them like financial literacy. Well, they are like, to some extent. Like they do have like these different classes, but I think it starts at home. Those are like conversations that we need to have at home. And like maybe you can go to like have a class where like kids can go and like learn about finances and things like that are outside of school. But anyway,
That's really cool though. That's like got me thinking about a lot of ideas and stuff. But I mean, you're right about a lot of points. And coaching I love coaching. I coached my son's basketball team a year ago, 2 years ago. It was one of the best things ever. And I've coached before. Like when I was in high school, me and my friends volunteered to coach a flag football team for one of the elementaries, and it was like super fun. we were probably a bad influence on these kids, though, especially who we were then.
No, like I think it's cool and it's like it is fun. It like humanizes people. Like I think it's awesome. My little brother also like coached a basketball team, and he was like, man, he's like, that was a lot of work. He's like, this is hard, but it also like gave him a purpose, and like it was good. So we need more people to get into that, but.
Yeah, a wise man told me is the key to life is to make a difference in someone's life or make a difference in the world. And yeah, I think you do that. I'm gonna try to do that in people's day. You know?
Yeah.
And then,
I'm gonna try to do that too.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah, I think providing services is like huge because like that's like what we preach is like self-care. And like being able to have options to go and get that self-care done, even if it's like an hour on your lunch or, you know, a weekend, like, okay, this, like every weekend I go get my toes done, or like every week I go get my beard faded, or like whatever. Like people just like need to find the time to like do those things and really just like, cause like how we feel on the outside, like how we look on the outside is like a reflection of how we feel on the inside. And I feel like more now than ever, like people are like worried about like health consciousness, what they put in their bodies, like because like now we just like know more. Like when you know more, you do better, and I think it's a direct reflection of how we take care of ourselves.
There was an Instagram reel that this one lady was saying, like, you have to, in order to experience the thing you want, you have to experience the opposite. So like if you want to be strong, then you have to like go to the gym and like, you know, push yourself, but you're gonna feel weak, that type of stuff. And like if you want to like, just being on that note. But yeah, what do you think about that? Like
that's true.
Because like I think being young and like not getting a lot of attention, like you don't learn a lot of social skills and stuff like that. And I don't know, there's like ways to.
Everything's a muscle, right?
Yeah,
Going to the gym is building muscle and stuff like that in a physical way, but you've got to build your mental muscle, you got to build spiritual muscles.
There you go.
It takes repetition and time, just like anything. Is what you got to put it in, you know. And some people accelerate faster than others. Others take more time and stuff like that. But in the end, you got to do it. You got to go through the pain to get the gains, right?
Exactly,
and all that. But
well said.
but that just reminds me of like, because I've been really into like, you know, my spiritual well-being and stuff like that. And to both points, because like right now, I feel like it's a big trend for to be healthy and to look good and to be fit and stuff like that. People will even spend a lot of money to make themselves look what they feel or they think will make them look, you know, better aesthetically or whatever. And I was talking to a spiritual director of mine, and I was like, there's like, well, what do you care about? Like, what's on your list of things that you care about? And I'm like, well, I care about like how I look. I care about my physical condition, because like my dad's never been like in the best physical shape, and I don't want to be like that, because I would look at that sometimes and wish he looked better. I don't want my kids to look at me that way. So I try to do my push-ups and all this stuff like that. And he's like, okay. I'm like eating and stuff, like, I can do better eating. And I'm getting on this whole like thought train, talking to him about like, you know, I could do this better. And he's like, everything you're talking about, that's okay. You know, health is good, vitality is good for a long life, but where's your soul? You know, he's like, that's all gonna go away. You're gonna be an old man one day, hopefully, by the grace of God. You're gonna be bedridden. You're gonna be on your deathbed.
Yeah.
Where is your soul? Is your soul as strong as your body right now? You know, are you spiritually strong as you want to be physically?
That's good.
And I'm like, no, I'm not, like, at all. And he's like, and what are you doing to compensate that? Like, you're doing all this. You told me you're doing push-ups. You're doing this. You're doing that to stay physically. What are you doing spiritually? And I'm like, shit, I'm not doing anything at this time. You know, and it kind of really had me reflect on my inner self. And I'm like, damn, there's a lot more work to be done. You know, but so many people get so trapped outside of themselves and what's going to make me happy on the exterior, they don't try to build that interior, which could just be, you know, it doesn't have to be necessarily like super spiritual, but just things that make you feel better. Because like and I told you this before too, like your soul is what brings you joy. right? Your soul is what brings you happiness, what puts a smile on your face. That's your soul. You know, and then when people sell their soul to the devil's the world, right? So they give that happiness away to make other people happy. So you're literally selling your soul to them. And if you're putting all this time on TikTok or whatever to be appeasing the masses who are watching you, you have no time for yourself. So your soul's gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think like we've been given space today in this society to not be stuck in a box as to what spirituality, religion looks like. There's so many different iterations of like what that looks like for a person. So like we have options too. Like I feel like I have a good relationship with God. Like I like going to church to an extent. I don't really believe in everything that's said in churches or in the Bible. Like that's still like a person up there kind of projecting their own shit onto us. Like I don't really love that idea. But I know for me, like there's a God, there's a higher spirit, like, or a higher power. So like I like started to cultivate that relationship on my own. And then I also have friends who don't believe there's a God at all. And I love them just the same. I'm just like, but they take care of themselves and, out in nature. Like, they don't necessarily believe in like a deity of some sort, like, right? And that's okay.
Yeah, and they're still feeding their spirit.
And they're still, they're still, their soul is happy, their person is happy, they have good auras. Like, I think we're now lending space for each other to like have these different beliefs. Like, there's a lot of religious deconstruction happening in different, in different churches. Like, I'm learning that it's not just in like one particular church. A lot of people are like moving away from, the typical or like the norm of, worship in a place, like, right? And so I think like that was important for him to tell you, like, well, what are you doing? And he didn't say, well, are you going to church? Are you praying? He just like, it was like, okay, well, what are you doing about that? And like, it gives you space to like figure out what is best for you to do. Like, right? So even like all three of us on this couch, like we might have like a different idea of like how we would answer that, like, right? So for me, it's like maybe in bed, like maybe it's you a journal, maybe it's you going to church, like, and none of those things are wrong. And so I think if society keeps moving in a way like where we stop like putting these judgments and expectations on people, we lend more of a space for people to be happy in who they are. And I think that is like what I like about this generation of kids, youth especially, is like if you talk to them, they don't care. Like they have friends that are gay, that are straight, that are theys, that are thems, that are have purple hair. Like they have friends that, like, with disability. Like they don't think how like we were kind of taught to think in certain things. Like they're almost like they're so much smarter than like we were. And like or like how like we were taught. I think like we were very like our generation was very accepting, but these kids are like tenfold. Like they already know like what all these things mean. Like like my niece corrects me. They're like, no, auntie, like that. In today's society, like we do have a lot of space, good space, that's lent to us to do things on our terms in the way that we want to. That is accepting. And I think to our point of like social media, it really just depends on like the shit that you follow. And that's kind of like that sets in your spirit. Like I have people in my family who like kind of listen to like this far like left like crazy shit, and like now like they're starting to think that like it's literal programming. Me, like I choose like not to follow that kind of stuff.
A Baptist minister would say, or like a Lutheran minister, like, no, if they didn't accept Jesus, they're going to hell. It's like, no, he understands. So he's like, okay, you were brought up this way. This is how you're going to be judged based on your religion and stuff like that. So
that sounds like a lot of work. Okay.
Is it on?
Yeah, it's wrong.
All right.
Cut that out.
Slice that out. All right, so we are going to wrap up. We are very excited that you stayed through the whole conversation. We want to have more meaningful conversations for you guys. Like, subscribe, share the hell out of it, please. Tell friends, tell enemies, tell the person you just met at your bakery, tell the guy that's slicing the bologna for your sandwich or whatever at Subway, and tell him tune into the Bridge Our podcast. Tell them to tune in. And we just appreciate you guys so much. You guys got anything in closing?
No,
it's good to see you guys. That's all. That's what I gotta say.
Yeah.
Good to see you guys again.
Good to see you guys again.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Oh.